Welcome to the first episode of Fordham Student News. I'm Lauren Winn.
And I'm Kelsey Micklas. Here are this week's top stories. President Trump addressed the nation late Friday night announcing that he launched airstrikes against Syrian military targets. The strikes are in response to a chemical attack the Assad regime launched on the Syrian people on Saturday.
These are not the actions of a man. They are crimes of a monster instead.
The strikes were carried out with allies France and the United Kingdom. 3 targets were hit in total, 2 were chemical weapons storage centers, and 1 was a research center.
President Trump's personal lawyer, Michael Cohen, is currently under criminal investigation for his personal business dealings. The FBI raided Cohen's home and office last week for evidence of criminal conduct. A court filing did not reveal what Cohen was under investigation for. The federal court in New York is investigating Cohen on recommendation by special counsel Robert Mueller. President Trump lashed out after the raid, saying,
And it's a disgrace. It's frankly a real disgrace. It's an attack on our country in a true sense. It's an attack on what we all stand for.
He added that many people said he should fire Mueller. White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders said the president thinks he has the power to fire the special counsel.
As threats to fire the special counsel continue, a bipartisan group of senators introduced legislation Wednesday that would give any special counsel a 10-day window to seek judicial review before actually being fired. But on Friday, Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein, who oversees the special counsel investigation, told colleagues that he expects to be fired.
An RNC official and major donor has resigned as Deputy Finance Chairman. Elliot Broidy's resignation comes after it was revealed that he agreed to pay $1.6 million to a former Playboy model who became pregnant during an affair. The deal was arranged at the end of 2017 by, guess who, President Trump's personal lawyer Michael Cohen. Broidy's agreement with the model was that he would pay her in installments over 2 years if she stayed quiet about their relationship.
Over on the Hill, Speaker of the House Paul Ryan announced he would not be seeking re-election in 2018 in order to spend more time with his family.
If I'm here for one more term, my kids will only have ever known me as a weekend dad. I just can't let that happen.
Ryan is the second speaker to voluntarily leave his post and will serve until his term ends in January. Ryan has endorsed Congressman Kevin McCarthy of California to be his successor.
New York is gearing up for a governor's race in 2018. Actress and activist Cynthia Nixon is challenging Governor Cuomo in the Democratic primary. This week, Nixon took a stance on marijuana legalization.
Simple truth is, for white people, the use of marijuana has effectively been legal for a long time. Isn't it time we legalize it for everybody else?
A poll from NBC4 New York and Marist showed Governor Cuomo leading Nixon in the primary 68% to 21%.
New Jersey lawmakers passed legislation on Thursday that expands voter registration in the state. The motor bill makes it so residents will automatically be registered to vote unless they opt out of the voting process. New Jersey is expected to have the most widespread automatic registration program in the country.
The Department of Justice is currently investigating the early decision practices of elite colleges and universities. The DOJ is looking to see if there are antitrust violations in the agreements between colleges who share early decision data with each other. The Wall Street Journal reports Amherst College, Ginnell, Middlebury, Pomona, Wellesley, Wesleyan, and Williams have received DOJ letters.
The gun control debate has been widely talked about across the country, and Hannah Melillo is looking at how it affected Fordham's campus.
February 14th's mass shooting at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School took the country by storm. It especially impacted current students, including a large population of the Fordham community. On Wednesday, March 14th, about 100 Fordham students, faculty, and staff joined thousands of students around the country and walked out of their classes and onto Edwards Field. United Student Government President Brian Reardon rang the Fordham victory bell 17 times for 17 minutes. Each ring in honor of one of the 17 victims in the Parkland shooting. Reardon helped organize the walkout after junior Neil Joyce approached him asking for United Student Government to do something in solidarity with the other walkouts across the country.
What the student wanted was for us to discuss these issues of gun violence in conjunction not only with our counterparts at Lincoln Center, but with Jesuit schools across the country, with other schools across the country, high schools, middle schools, colleges, universities, to discuss this, not necessarily as a way to take away the Second Amendment, because that's not what no one wants. It's just, at this point, a lot of people feel very strongly about the fact that there is way too much gun violence. And how do we address this?
Over 3,000 other schools around the country also held walkouts to stand against gun violence. The walkout was a protest against gun violence and inaction in Congress. USG Vice President Abigail Keddick.
After every tragedy, you have people trying to speak out and trying to, express how gun violence is just an awful thing and how things need to change and the policies need to change. And you have a lot of people in Congress kind of not really listening to that and waiting for these things to blow over.
But the student organizers from Marjory Stoneman Douglas have not been letting the gun control conversation die. Last month, they organized the March for Our Lives that saw thousands of students, teachers, and their families march around the country against gun violence. Keddick says she is hopeful that the response to this shooting will be different.
Like a lot of people are saying, like this time is different because of the students at Marjory Stoneman Douglas and their use of social media and their ability to galvanize the greater community. It's just different this time.
And they inspired Fordham community to stand together silently to remember. From Fordham TV News, I'm Hannah Melillo.
Thanks, Hannah. Another national school walkout is scheduled for April 20th, the anniversary of the Columbine shooting. But students aren't the only ones walking out. Teachers across the country are going on strike and demanding higher wages so far. Thousands of public school teachers in 4 states have protested at state capitals, demanding raises. Oklahoma teachers won a $6,000 raise, and Arizona teachers are going to see a 20% raise soon.
58% of adults in the U.S. are saying there's a possibility that something like the Holocaust could happen again. The Holocaust Knowledge and Awareness Study also found that 70% of those surveyed don't think people care as much about the Holocaust as they used to. A major reason being awareness. The study found that 22% of millennials haven't heard about the Holocaust at all. In addition, anti-Semitic estimates have increased by 57% in the last year.
Fordham has a new president and vice president of the United Student Government, and they're here to speak today with us. Connor Sullivan and KAYLEE Wong, thanks for joining us.
I'm Haley Messenger, and I'm here with the newly elected executive ticket for the United Student Government here at Fordham. I have Connor Sullivan. He's a junior. He's the new president of USG. Hi, Connor. And I have KAYLEE Wong here. She is a sophomore in GUBENATORIAL here with me also. First of all, I just want to say congratulations to you both. Very exciting to have president and vice president up there. But to start, what inspired both of you to run in the first place?
KAYLEE and I both were members of USG this year, and we had really good experiences. KAYLEE was vice president of finance and I was vice president of communications, and kind of the leadership and the passion we had to serve our community in those roles pushed us to running for higher office.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I'm most excited for specifically about vice president is that you really get to interact with the whole Senate and make sure that you're helping with their initiatives and making sure that everything that these really passionate student leaders are able to see something really happen. And so I think that's what we're really excited about too, is kind of taking on more of a mentorship role and helping to move these things forward for them.
Okay. I found it interesting because you're in FCRH, you're a political science major, and you're in GUBENATORIAL studying public accounting. The previous president and vice president were both in Rose Hill, so I find it interesting that you guys can kind of bridge the gap that we see all the time between GUBENATORIAL and Rose Hill. How do you think that you'll collaborate and do that?
Well, absolutely. We realized that obviously right off the bat, and we think it's important that both schools are represented at the top ticket, president and vice president. And so I know the issues I have with FCRH, as every FCRH student has too, and I can't necessarily relate to what a GUBENATORIAL student faces in the business school. And so bringing those together and hopefully having some programming between the two and making sure that there's more consistency, that we're not just like one university but and with 2 schools in it, but we are a university where we all can interact, not just outside of the classroom as well. So kind of bridging that in that regard, meeting with academic deans to see what we can do in the classroom that might be able to integrate the 2 fields. Because I think both, whether you study business or a liberal arts, no matter what that liberal art may be, it's important to kind of maybe have some background information from the GUBENATORIal school or from Fordham College at Rose Hill.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really important for the student government in general to be very representative of the student body in itself. So I think it's exciting that we'll have the opportunity to bring both problems to the forefront as anything that's going on in either school, as well as working to kind of collaborate, bring all of the deans together, do something as kind of one big university.
But what do you think is the biggest challenge that students face in FCRH and GUBENATORIal?
One of the larger challenges, and I think this isn't just specific to the school that you're in, but I think a lot of the times a challenge that people have is within clubs. We found being within USG now for this past year that club leaders don't feel that they have the necessary resources from their student government, from their school. And I think that's a problem that we want to focus on. So what we want to do this year is have senators be assigned to clubs so that there can be a direct liaison to kind of streamline the process of getting in contact with USG, because what USG does is we're serving the student body to make sure that we're addressing issues both inside and outside the classroom. And so whether it be the budget committee that's allocating funds to each club or the student life house committee giving club suites, there's a lot of issues that come along and there's a lot of nuance to that. And so we want to have a better streamline of process, and I think that makes life here on campus a little bit better too.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the biggest problems, I mean, we all have our academic qualms, anything like that, but I think as the voice of the student body, something that we really want to focus on is just improving the overall quality, and we think that by working with student clubs to ensure that they have all the necessary resources, there's, like he said, there's a lot of processes that you have to undergo. I mean, as VP of Finance, I put a lot of people through the budgeting process. I work a lot with operations. We just finished up budget day. Actually, we spent about 8 hours together yesterday allocating all of the funds for the fall semester. And I know that all of these processes can be confusing, especially when e-boards turn over almost every year. So we really want to provide that accessibility to the student government to ask your questions, make sure that you know that when the club suite application is, what that means, when all of these different packets are due, to make sure that you can stay an active club on campus as well as receive funding and any other resources that they need.
And actually one of our larger issues is transparency.
Right.
In the past, people have been running on Bridge the Gap, and that's certainly what we want to accomplish, but having transparency, it's an issue that we feel that a student government should be able to connect to all the students that we represent. And so one of those ways is we want to create a communications committee. It will be a standing committee that will be able to...
As opposed to just Vice President of Communications.
As opposed to just Vice President of Communications. So this year it was just me kind of running that process, and you're kind of stripped thin a little bit of what you can accomplish. And so having a standing committee made up of people who are interested or studying marketing and communications, we think can get more people involved with USG, more people familiar with USG, and perhaps hopefully next year we can have more people running for our elections.
Okay, and I just have one last question to finish up for you guys. How does it feel now? I know that you've both been involved with USG for the time that you've been at Fordham, but how does it feel to represent an entire student body now and have a bigger role and more weight on your shoulders?
I mean, it's an honor to be able to do that. I didn't think I would ever be in this position. I joined USG now just a year ago with a little Senate, and then I went for this special election in the current position. So it's such a privilege and an honor to be able to go to deans and administrators and advocate on behalf of all the students here. And it's going to be a fun adventure going forward.
Yeah, I think we're really excited about the opportunity to really highlight the issues that students are facing, make sure that everyone is on the same page, and really bring those things to the administrator's eyes and make sure that the students are spoken for. And while it is a lot of responsibility, I think we're very excited to face it and kind of take it on.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for coming.
Thank you for
Carolyn
having us.
Sullivan and KAYLEE Wong for USG President and Vice President. I'm Haley Messenger for Fordham Student TV News. Thank you.
Thanks, Haley. Thousands of Hungarians protested their Prime Minister Viktor Orban over the weekend, urging him to step down days after being re-elected to a third term in office. The protests are taking place in Budapest, among other cities, and are predicted to make a successful change in the government. These demonstrations come a week after Orban and his party won the re-election, maintaining full control over news and media and civil society.
Winnie Madikizela Mandela was laid to rest over the weekend, and people from all over the city of Johannesburg came to say their goodbyes. The speaker at her memorial service said, "Mama Winnie didn't die. And indeed, she did multiply. She left with the spirit to fight for what we want as women."
A new study out of the UK shows that melting ice caps are affecting currents in the Atlantic Ocean and then affecting some ecosystems. If the currents continue with the same pattern, climates in Western Europe would cool down drastically.
Fordham recently signed a contract with the Sustainability Accounting Standards Board. Fordham can now host SASB meetings, and it can act as a research collaborator. SASB sets industry-specific standards for corporate sustainability. Sam Zandanel has more on sustainability at Fordham.
Thanks, Lauren. I sat down with Ariel Brender, president of SIEGE, and talked about sustainability at Fordham.
The main pillars of SIEGE are educating the Fordham student body about environmentalism, doing outreach within the local Bronx community and local New York City community when it comes to both environmental political action and environmental justice work, and then also political activism just as a tenet of the group. And SIEGE also runs events. So we have Earth Week coming up. We have over a week's worth of really, really fun events, educational and fun.
SIEGE has several events planned for Earth Week, beginning on Friday, April 13th and continuing through to Earth Day on April 22nd. All are welcome. Ariel then discussed how Fordham can use its Jesuit values to help sustainability efforts progress.
I think that Fordham's greatest asset and our greatest asset as environmentalists are Fordham's Jesuit values. So a lot of college campuses are totally unsustainable. What's different about ours, it is unsustainable, but what's different about ours is that we get to hold up the Jesuit values to the administration, to people at the heads of different departments, to the student body, and say, this is something that you claim to subscribe to. Let's put our money where our mouth is. Let's put our actions where our mouth is. Part of that has to do with the fact that generally at our school, transparency is a huge issue. Our administration, our funding bodies really like to keep things under wraps, really like to use a lot of jargony rhetoric to beat around the bush when it comes to issues that we need to be dealing with. And I think we've seen this not only when it comes to sustainability, but also when it comes to social issues, that progressive causes might not get the same kind of wholehearted attention from the administration as they should. And I think that's something that our administration and Father McShane, for that matter, can be doing a lot better at.
According to Ariel, this is not the only thing the administration and Father McShane can be doing better at.
Only 5% of our endowment goes towards things that pursue a Jesuit mission. The other 95% can go towards things that literally pillage the earth and other people. And so we really need to be asking the administration, are you really a Jesuit university? Are you really caring about the impact that you have on people's lives? Are you really being men and women for others? Because if we're not putting our money where our mouth is, we're causing direct harm to people, whether that's through oil, whether that's through coal, whether that's through any other venture that isn't holistically and intersectionally sustainable.
While Fordham has many areas to improve upon, Ariel maintains that upholding Jesuit values and relying on each other as a community is what's really going to make strides towards a more environmentally friendly university.
Thanks, Sam. A prominent champion of gay rights has died after he set himself on fire in Brooklyn on Saturday. Police say David Buckle left a note in a shopping cart near his remains telling people to lead less selfish lives as a way to protect the planet. He also emailed it to several news outlets. Buckle was the lead prosecutor in Brandon versus County of Richardson, where he found a Nebraska County sheriff liable for failing to protect a transgender man who was murdered. He was also the strategist behind several notable same-sex marriage cases in New Jersey and Iowa.
An Indiana farm voluntarily recalled over 206 million eggs due to a potential contamination of salmonella. The recall affects eggs in 9 states, including New York and New Jersey. Brands affected include Daybreak, Coburn Farms, Crystal Farms, and Sunshine Farms.
Students at Fordham have mastered the art of dancing their way to fundraising success. Take a look at how these students helped the fight against childhood cancer. Patrick Infurna has more.
On March 9th, the Rams came to the Fordham Dance Marathon to rock out, eat, and above all, lend a helping hand to these little heroes. For 5 years now, FDM has aided the Be Positive Foundation in its fight against pediatric cancer. Racing up and down the Lombardy track, student athletes ran beside kids who were on their way to good health, thanks in large part to volunteer student athletes.
See them smiling, having a good time, and just, enjoying the day. And of course, just like, everybody here who has contributed a lot to the FDM, and just, raising so much money just for those 2 little kids and a lot more.
4 student dance groups warmed up the dance floor before the rest of us took a crack at it. DJ Seon and Fordham's favorite student band, Free Advertising, kept heads bobbing and fists pumping before featuring artist Chitty Bang took the stage with some throwback hits. Volunteers were overjoyed with the turnout.
I can't see it!
The Residence Hall Association thanks the Fordham community for supporting the Be Positive Foundation in its mission of healing, one little hero at a time. Reporting for Fordham News, I'm Patrick Infurna.
2 black men were handcuffed and arrested in a Philadelphia Starbucks for allegedly refusing to leave when asked by staffers. A video that has since gone viral on Twitter shows 2 men being escorted out of the cafe. One Twitter user says the 2 men were waiting for a friend to show up before they were ordered to leave. Jim Kenney, the mayor of Philadelphia, released a statement saying he was heartbroken to see, quote, what appears to exemplify what racial discrimination looks like in 2018.
One group of Fordham students brought Irish pride to campus, and it was nothing short of entertaining. Take a look.
Fordham celebrated St. Patrick's with a 3rd annual Irish Night, hosted by Gaelic Society and Sláinte, Fordham's very own Irish dance team.
Presidents of Sláinte, Fordham Irish Dance. It's our 3rd Irish Night, and as we are seniors, we're very excited that we had such a great turnout.
Admission was $3, with proceeds going to both Gaelic Society and Sláinte. Sláinte was collecting an additional donation for Cara Loughran, one of the 17 students lost in the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School shooting. Cara was an Irish dancer, and since her death, the entire Irish dance community has come together to support and raise money for her family. Brian, the executive president of the United Student Government, a Ram van driver, and most importantly an Irishman, welcomed the crowd with a toast.
Raise a glass to a great night with some amazing performances from some amazing people and the celebration of Irish culture.
As any good Irish party does, the event consisted of food, drink, singing, and dancing. Performers included the B-Sides, the Satin Dolls, and the Ramblers, providing a mix of both modern pop and Irish music. Sláinte showcased their talent with multiple routines. The group is known for their modern take on Irish dance, including coordinated hand movements. Gregory Hopp is the first guy to ever join the team. He says it's been a great experience.
Chill, but also really, really good dancers. We all love what we do.
Sláinte co-presidents Lexi Rizzo and Claire McGough said the night was a great success.
Thank the Irish Studies Department for helping us fund this night, and everyone's parents and family who drove, baked, did everything to make this possible. So, thank you so much.
The event raised $100 for Cara Loughran and $1,800 for Sláinte.
From Fordham University, I'm Catherine O'Connor.
Thanks, Catherine. Britain's royal family are prepping for an event-filled month. Royal experts are saying Princess Kate is due any day now, and we are just 1 month from Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's wedding on May 19th.
Khloe Kardashian has given birth to a baby girl. The birth of her first child with Cleveland Cavaliers player Tristan Thompson comes just as Thompson has been accused of cheating on Kardashian. And here's Emmanuel Berbari with sports.
Thanks, Kelsey and Lauren. Contrary to everyone's preseason predictions, the New York Mets are the talk of the town. Off to the best start in franchise history, the team labeled the little brother entering the season currently holds the second best record in baseball. Under first-year manager Mickey Callaway, the Metropolitans have taken baseball by storm with an infusion of veteran leadership and exciting youth. A well-balanced lineup, potent starting rotation, and unexpectedly lethal bullpen have led the way. But it's only April, you say? Is it too small of a sample size? Let's hold up for a second. Granted, health is never a guarantee, but the NL East leaders haven't even come close to their ceiling. Noah Syndergaard and Jacob deGrom, the two anchors of their starting staff, have been underwhelming in the early going. Yoenis Cespedes, who was considered the lone bright spot in the lineup going into the season, is hitting .208 and averaging almost 2 strikeouts per game. Jay Bruce, the team's top power hitter from last year, has only 1 home run. Not to mention that the Mets accomplished most of this winning without one of the game's brightest young stars in Michael Conforto, who was sidelined due to injury. As a whole, they're hitting a subpar .235, only sport a .392 slugging percentage, but are still winning games left and right. Why? In the National League rankings, New York is 4th in on-base percentage, 1st in stolen bases, have the 2nd best defensive efficiency rating, and lead 3 major pitching categories. The Mets are playing clean, fundamentally sound baseball, and most importantly, are fun to watch again. Mickey Callaway has this team believing that they can get the job done on a daily basis. Now, they won't stay on their current 137 win pace, and they won't even stay on a 95 win pace. But what are they going to do? They'll be a force to be reckoned with, and they won't be leaving this year's playoff picture anytime soon. With sports, I'm Emmanuel Berbari.
Thanks, Emmanuel. Well, this has been Fordham Student News. Thank you for watching. From Fordham University in the Bronx, I'm Kelsey Micklas.
And I'm Lauren Winn. Good night.